going to happen. Okay. So, I'm a former social anxiety disorder sufferer, and it was very difficult to overcome my social anxiety. And the mainstream approaches that I tried, facing my fears, changing my thoughts, meditation, NLP, etc., it all didn't work. And eventually I found this odd looking technique called tapping, where you tap with the tips of your fingers on specific acupressure points in the body. And believe it or not, that actually works. And after a long period of time, it helped me to overcome my social anxiety. And at that point, I started coaching people to overcome their social anxiety using this particular technique. I've been doing that since 2009. And, now when Corona kicked off, I did a 30-day challenge where I taught people this technique. And I taught a whole bunch of other concepts from both traditional Western psychology and certain Eastern concepts that I've learned over the years that helped me in overcoming my social anxiety. And now we're in the second 30-day challenge. And I was like, let's do a live webinar, not knowing that my main internet was going to cut out. But here we are. I've got 3 brave volunteers, and I'm going to apply this technique with them and do a bit of a demonstration of what that does. And if you're watching this, what you can do to get some benefit from this is to just follow along and, monkey see, monkey do. So even if you're not exactly familiar with the technique, if you follow along, you're still going to get some benefit, because what this technique does is it starts reducing the negative emotions that are causing or contributing to the problem of social anxiety. While you won't solve your social anxiety in this hour and a half that we're going to do this, you're likely going to feel some relief. You're going to get some insights. You're going to get some clues as to why you're stuck and so on. So just be tapping throughout the whole session. So throughout this whole thing, just be tapping, and then see what happens. And if you decide to do that, you agree that you're taking full responsibility of your own mental and emotional well-being. So disclaimer out of the way. Let's see how we're going to do this. I will start out with Victoria, and then Antoine and Adi. Can you guys mute yourself? Great. Hi, Victoria.
Hello.
Hello. Okay. So you're familiar with the tapping points?
I am indeed, yeah.
Great. Okay. So let's first start out with level of nervousness, tension, anxiety right now in this very moment.
6, 7.
Okay, gotcha. By the way, thank you for volunteering. Thank you for being brave. I bet there are a lot of people watching this right now like, oh, I would never do that. Right? So, excellent. Very good. Now, first of all, what we want to do is we want to address the resistance to letting go of this anxiety. Because basically right now in this moment, this anxiety is basically your system is saying, I'm seeing a threat right now. There's a danger that I'm seeing. And that danger might be, well, I'm going to say something stupid, or I won't come off in the right way, or I'll bore people, or whatever it is. There's some kind of a risk in being here. And so just being calm and relaxed, it's a bad idea. That's basically what your brain is saying. And we want to acknowledge that fact. And we do that by verbalizing the common reasons for why your subconscious mind, that deeper part of you that wants to keep you safe, might not want to relax. So just follow along with me. And you at home, just say the same things. And of course, Antoine and Adi say the same thing. So under the nose, just say, I don't want to relax right now.
I don't want to relax right now.
Shin, it's not safe to relax.
It's not safe to relax.
Collarbone, I can't let go of my social anxiety.
I can't let go of my social anxiety.
Under the arm, it's part of who I am.
It's part of who I am.
Yeah, on the liver point.
I'll skip that point.
Okay, sorry. Yeah, you're right. Okay, just tap here. Say, I don't deserve to let go of my social anxiety.
I don't deserve to let go of my social anxiety.
On the top of that, who would I be without it?
Who would I be without it?
on the beginning of the eyebrows. I can't let it go.
I can't let it go.
Side eyes. It's impossible to let go of it.
It's impossible to let go of it.
On the eyes. I don't want to let go of my anxiety.
I don't want to let go of my anxiety.
On the nose. Yes, I do.
Yes, I do.
Chin. No, I don't.
No, I don't.
On the collarbone. I release all my emotional attachments
I release all my emotional attachments
to my resistance,
to my resistance,
to letting go of my social anxiety.
to letting go of my social anxiety.
And now just observe what happens for a little bit as we let that sentence do its work. Okay, so under the arms, what are you noticing right now, Victoria? No right or wrong answer, by the way. Don't try to say anything to please me. It doesn't please me. I'm just curious.
No, I do feel more at ease. Definitely.
Okay.
I'd say the
All
number
right.
reduces.
Okay, and what's the reduced number now?
4, maybe even 3.
Okay, gotcha. And while you tap on the wrist point, how is it that you're aware of that anxiety? Is that like a lump in your throat? Is that tightness in your chest? Is that butterflies in your stomach? Is that jitteriness? How are you aware of that?
I'd say it's in my stomach. I get quite hot as well.
Okay.
Even if it's cold. I know that it's cold right now, but I feel really hot, so I get burning up.
Okay.
Yeah, mainly in my stomach though, just the discomfort.
Gotcha. It's definitely not cold here, by the way, in the Philippines. I'm soon going to be sweating under my arms, but I'll just have to deal with it. Right. So, are you feeling hot
I am,
right
yes.
now? Yes.
It's
Okay.
slowly disappearing.
Okay. All right. Good. So, what we've talked about inside the challenge is, what we've not just talked about, but what we also tapped on and focused on was changing the relationship with our anxiety and no longer seeing it as, I'm an anxious person and, I'm upset about myself for having this and what's wrong with me and, beating yourself up and that kind of stuff. We started that process of accepting ourselves while we have this challenge with anxiety rather than that we're an anxious person. And we've also looked at, well, what are the emotions that you feel about the fact that you get anxious? Or when you're anxious, what are the emotions that you're having about the fact that you're anxious? In other words, are you accepting the anxiety? So I'll give you a good example. So I'm a social confidence coach, right? I've been doing this for a long time. Social anxiety is not a problem anymore. And yesterday, I acknowledged that I was going to do a live YouTube and I was going to coach 3 people. I've actually never done that. I've coached 3 people in this same format before, but within my community, where I already know that people kind of like me and they appreciate the results that they're getting. But live on YouTube, not. So I noticed, wow, I'm feeling a bit anxious about that. So yesterday evening, I'm like, wow, isn't that fascinating? This is great. Opportunity for growth. And what I didn't do was beat myself up. What I didn't do was get frustrated about it. What I didn't do was feel guilty about it or angry or disappointed or whatever. And I also felt that I could do it while anxious. In fact, I feel a bit nervous right now. Also has to do with the internet, breaking up, that kind of stuff. And I'm like, I can do it while I'm feeling a bit of anxiety. But yesterday I'm like, okay, well, since I'm already in acceptance of the anxiety, what I can do is I can look at, well, why is that anxiety there? And there were some remnants of, some people really like to see me fail. Some people are really against me. I'm like, oh, okay. There's a bit there that I hadn't addressed yet, that in my current normal life with all the things that I do doesn't come up. But now that I'm kind of stepping my game, if you will, kind of presents itself. So I did 15, 20 minutes of tapping and I was calm, looking forward to it. Anyway, So that's a long story to kind of ask you, are you in acceptance of your anxiety right now? And if not, what are the feelings that you have about it?
So I mean, I am totally new to all of this. I mean, this is literally day 20 of my self-help at all. So
Wow.
it's yeah,
Cool.
to be here is quite a big deal. But yeah, no, I always hated it. I always beat myself up about it. Um, but today and in the past week or so, I've kind of told my body, you know, my body's just trying to keep me safe. It's doing what it can to keep me out of danger. And in that, I do appreciate it now to some extent. So it is kind of easier to keep under control. Which
Excellent.
in 20 days, it's a massive step.
Fantastic. I'm happy to hear it. That's great. Okay, cool. So that means that you're already in acceptance of the anxiety. And right, just earlier, what we did was what we cleared the resistance to letting go of the anxiety, which means that you're now kind of in a good place to do some more work,
Sure.
right? Meaning, look at the reasons for why the anxiety is there. So great. So that means I'm going to leave you for a second and I'm going to go to the next one and I'll come back to you later. Is that okay?
Yep, not a problem.
Okay. And the anxiety right now is
3, I'd say.
about a 3. Okay,
Quite low.
cool. All right. So let's go to Ali. Can you please unmute yourself? Yes.
Hello.
All right.
My dog's
Ali.
just barking right now, so don't mind them.
Okay. All good. All good. Anxiety level 0 to 10 right now.
Probably
honest.
like 7.
7.
Around 7,
Okay.
yeah.
Okay, good. And for you, actually, the same question. How are you feeling about the fact that you have these sensations going on in your body right now?
I guess like I have started to try and accept it more, but it's definitely hard to like accept it sometimes.
Yeah.
When it affects you like every day, I guess.
Gotcha. Yeah. And so, what Victoria was saying earlier, she's kind of, had a good shift in that she now feels quite accepting of the anxiety. But for certain people, it goes faster than for other people. It just is what it is. There's no good or bad, but it wasn't something that she was told and now consciously all of a sudden immediately she accepted it. It's been the tapping that helped that acceptance land on a subconscious level, because acceptance of your anxiety is taught in other places as well, but it's very, very difficult to do, to try to talk yourself into acceptance and convince yourself, oh, okay, yes, now I'm accepting my anxiety. Very, very tough to do because you have all of these strong emotions and you can't out talk these emotions, or at least it takes a long time. So therefore, what we're doing is we're using the tapping to deal with the non-acceptance. And non-acceptance, for example, is, I'm pissed off of at my anxiety. That's a genuine feeling and a very normal feeling, but it's also in the way of accepting it. So we want to then look at what the feelings are that you're having now as you're having that anxious experience, so that we have something to tap on, to focus on. And actually something that you said already becomes our top tapping targets, like, well, it's kind of difficult to accept it, right? Yeah.
Yeah.
And it's also common for people to have resistance to accepting their anxiety. And I think that's what's going on. So that's where we're going to go first. So just tap on the beginning of the eyebrows and just say, I don't want to accept my anxiety.
I don't want to accept my anxiety.
That would be stupid.
That would be stupid.
I'm not going to do that.
I'm not going to do that.
No, it's dangerous to accept my anxiety.
It's dangerous to accept my anxiety.
Chin, I have to fight it.
I have to fight it.
Collarbone, because that really helps me.
Because that really helps me.
Under the arms. When I get upset at myself.
When I get upset at myself.
For feeling anxious.
For feeling anxious.
Liver point. That's such a confidence booster.
Such a confidence booster.
Yeah, wrist point. It really helps me reduce the anxiety.
It really helps me reduce the anxiety.
Top of that, it's really the best strategy.
It's really the best strategy,
Now, beginning therapist, or maybe not.
or maybe not.
Tell you guys, I wonder what would happen
I wonder what would happen
on the eyes if I accepted the anxiety that I'm having.
if I accepted the anxiety that I'm having.
I don't know. It doesn't mean I like it,
It doesn't mean that I like it
or that I want it to stay.
or that I want it to stay.
Collarbone also doesn't mean I'm not going to do anything anymore about resolving it.
Also doesn't mean that I'm not going to do anything anymore about resolving it.
On the arms. Just means I'm looking reality in the face.
Just means I'm looking reality in the face
And I'm saying, yes, this is the way it is.
and I'm saying, yes, this is the way it is.
Liver point. So I'm not making it worse than it already is.
So I'm not making it worse than it already is.
Wrist point. But my anxiety defines me.
But my anxiety defines me.
Top of that, it makes me weak and pathetic.
Makes me weak and pathetic.
Being of the eyebrows, or maybe not.
Or maybe not.
Saddy eyes. What if I don't have to believe that judgment?
What if I don't have to believe that judgment?
On the eyes, I release
I release
all my emotional attachments.
all my emotional attachments.
To anxiety makes me weak and pathetic.
Anxiety makes me weak and pathetic.
Under the nose, deep breath. Okay, on the chin, and what are you aware of? Thoughts, feelings, insights, impure thoughts, bizarre realizations, anything?
I guess it's like realize that it does, like, you don't have to let it make you feel even worse than it already does. Like the feelings.
And what are the feelings about it right now?
That like I won't have to be like this forever, and that like I'm in the process of getting better.
Okay, all right, but that's a great motivational talk. But any negative feelings that you're having right now?
Nothing like specific, I guess. I don't know.
Okay, all right. So are you feeling any shame about the fact that you're experiencing anxiety? I know definitely I felt super ashamed for it for a very long time. It was very difficult to get rid of.
Probably like
or embarrassment
down, yeah.
or humiliation or any of the like.
Yeah, probably like ashamed sometimes.
Okay. And how about right now in the moment? Are you feeling anything of it in your body?
Mostly like just feel a bit hot.
Okay. Gotcha. And how are you aware of that feeling hot? Is it like in your face? Is it around? I used to get it around a lot around my ears. My ears would start glowing, like, you know. Other people have it a lot in their neck. Some people it's in their cheeks. You know, how other people it just rises up. Like, how are you aware of it?
Probably like feel it in my face and like around here, or like up here.
Okay, gotcha. And if you had to rate that on a scale of 0 to 10, how strong is that?
Probably like 6.
Okay, gotcha.
6.
Okay, so what I want you to do is I want you to just pay attention to that shame about the fact that you're anxious, and just allow it to be there. And just keep tapping. And if it's easier to close your eyes, feel free to do so. If not, you can keep them open, whatever. And you're actually just allowing that shame to be there. So you're not running away from it. You're not fighting it. You're not pushing it. You're not pushing it. You're kind of observing what it does. Keep breathing, otherwise we have a different kind of session. Good. On the collarbone, what are you noticing? No right or wrong answer. If it gets worse or is the same, that's totally fine. There's a solution for everything. I just want to know what your honest experience is.
Mostly like feeling the same.
Okay. Okay, gotcha. And okay, so just tap here. Say, I shouldn't feel ashamed.
I shouldn't feel ashamed.
Sorry, guys, it's bad to feel ashamed.
It's bad to feel ashamed.
Real man doesn't feel ashamed.
Real man doesn't feel ashamed.
No, no, no. I definitely don't feel ashamed.
I definitely don't feel ashamed.
Not at all.
Not at all.
Collarbone, never have felt ashamed.
Never have felt ashamed.
On the arms, never will feel ashamed.
Never will feel ashamed.
Liver point, because I shouldn't feel ashamed.
Because I shouldn't feel ashamed.
Wrist points, pathetic to feel ashamed.
It's pathetic to feel ashamed.
Top of the head. But I am experiencing some heat.
But I am experiencing some heat.
It's definitely not shame.
Definitely not shame.
But I've got some heat going on.
But I've got some heat going on.
Under the eyes. Under the nose, deep breath. Okay, what are you noticing? Again, no right or wrong answer.
Mostly the same.
Okay, all right. And when you're saying mostly the same, what you're saying is mostly the shame is still the same that you're feeling, or the anxiousness is still the same that you're feeling, or like what specifically still feels the same for you?
Probably that like anxiousness, the feeling.
Okay, how's the shame feeling though? The heat, how's that?
Bit better actually.
Okay, all right. And how bad is the anxiety then, 0 to 10?
Like around 6 or 7.
Okay, gotcha. What's the main feeling that you're feeling about? Let me say it differently. What's the emotion? What's the strongest emotion that you right now have about this anxiety experience? And could also be a thought, like this is fucked up, or this is ridiculous, or I'm so sick and tired of this, or whatever. It could be a thought, or it could be a direct feeling, like frustration or like anger in my, whatever.
Maybe like feeling down about it.
Okay, gotcha. And is that a common experience for you, that you're feeling down about it?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, gotcha. What does it mean to you that you're feeling anxious? What's the down feeling? Is the down feeling coming from, oh, I'll never overcome it, or or does it mean something bad about you or about your situation, your scenario, or?
Makes me feel bad, like I can't do the stuff that I want to do, and like make strong relationships, stuff like that.
Yeah, yeah. Gotcha. Well, I'm sure nobody else can relate to that, right? Everyone can relate to that. Just to be blatantly obvious, because it is very limiting, it is very painful, and you're faced with it every day, and it just consumes your thinking, and it's just there all the time. So I'm with you. It really sucks. I get it. And it can also be something that's very hard to deal with, also because you're dealing with it by yourself. And typically, for me at least, it was my secret. Nobody, was pretending to the outside world that everything was fine, but all the while I was suffering massively. And so you're carrying this burden with you, and you can't really share it with anyone because there's this shame about it, because you think it means something bad about you, and so it sucks. It really does suck. But there really is good hope, and that is, it's not a permanent problem. It is something that you can overcome. It will take a bit of time for most people, but you can start to make progress on it. Okay, so when you're saying, well, I kind of have a down feeling about it, is it fair to say that you've tried a few things to overcome it, or not?
Yeah, I've tried like different therapies, hypnosis, like meditation, things like that, supplements.
Okay, gotcha. Whole bunch of things.
Yeah.
Yeah, and the challenge is, you try a few things, and when if you're lucky like Victoria, you just show up and like it's pretty much miraculous that you're right here. It's really cool. But if you're not as lucky, you try something, and first time you try it, and you're optimistic, and you're like, wow, this is going to be great. I'm going to overcome this problem. I'm going to do this strategy, and then I'm going to do that, and then okay. But when you then actually do it and it doesn't work, ooh, that's a big disappointment. That's a painful realization. That is a kind of down-like feeling, and that can also start to build on the feeling like, oh my God, what if there's something wrong with me? What if I'm broken? What if I can't fix this? What if I have to live with this for the rest of my life? But somehow, some way, because it's so painful, you drag yourself to try out the next technique or therapy or strategy or hypnosis. Oh, it's really great. It works for everyone. And you try it, and you try it and get a little bit of results listening to one of these tapes. You're like, wow, this is great. This is going to be it. And 2 weeks later, you're back to square one. You're like, oh my God. And now this whole belief that this can't work, I'm broken, I'm a tough case, that just starts to build up and starts to grow stronger and stronger. And at the same time, there's also a part of your mind that says, hey, it's not good for you to get your hopes up again, because every time you get your hopes up, you're going to get severely disappointed and knocked down, and it's going to really, really suck. So then there becomes like resistance to being hopeful and optimistic. And another way to translate that is resistance to letting go of that down feeling. So that's what I want to tap on with you first. So just tap on the beginning of your eyebrows and just say, I don't want to let go of this down feeling.
I don't want to let go of this down feeling.
So yes, it's not safe to be optimistic.
It's not safe to be optimistic.
On the eyes. It's much better to remain pessimistic.
It's much better to remain pessimistic.
On the nose. I refuse to be optimistic.
I refuse to be optimistic.
Chin, if I do that, I'll get hurt.
If I do that, I'll get hurt.
Collarbone, I'll be disappointed again.
I'll be disappointed again.
On the arms, I don't want to deal with that.
I don't want to deal with that.
On the liver point, I release all my emotional attachments.
I release all my emotional attachments.
To this down feeling.
To this down feeling.
Top of the head, what are you noticing, Adi?
I feel a bit more relaxed.
Good. How's the anxiety feeling?
It's gone down a bit. I would say it's at like a 5 now.
Okay, gotcha. And I guess you're now more in acceptance of the anxiety, and there's no resistance to it. So I'm going to let you sit with this for a while I move on to Antoine, okay?
Okay.
Thank you thus far. Okay. Am I saying it right, by the way? Antoine.
Yes, that's it.
My French is just okay. And so how are you doing right now? Anxiety 0 to 10.
Well, I'm lucky to get started late in the process. So obviously that's gone down for me already, and shame is lower, and feeling down is lower. So I'd say probably 4. I wouldn't mind another, going down another 2.
Okay. Yeah, or 4. Yeah,
Or
exactly.
4, who knows? Yeah.
Gotcha. Okay, cool. And that's the great thing about doing this is people can relate. This is such a relatable challenge that we're having. Um, and because we can relate, when I work with Adi, you can relate to what's going on, and because you can relate, it triggers the feelings within you, and then the tapping gets you to have results while I'm actually working with Adi. It's just super cool. And it even goes further than that. I do whole coaching. For example, I did a whole coaching series with a lady called Masa, and it's five 90 minutes sessions. It was a live coaching series that we did that we had people tap along with. And while the causes of people's fear of judgment was very different than Masa's, how it presents itself is very similar, and even though say you're watching that series and you see Masa on screen working with me through these issues, your subconscious links whatever is going on with Masa on screen to your unique issues, and the tapping starts to resolve those. It's amazing. It's really so cool. That's what makes this really exciting. So anyway, I'm getting off track here. So right now it's about a 4. And what is your strongest emotion about it, if there is any, or thought about it?
The last one that came up was with Journey when I'm anxious. I'm feeling a bit debilitated in the sense that I get into my thoughts, and therefore I cannot connect on a mental level to a group in general. So I would listen. I guess my attention to the actual words would be probably 50% to 70%. Never, I couldn't be totally there in the moment.
Yeah, gotcha. Your audio is a little bit crooked. Is there any way you can
and try to MacBook? Is it any better?
Yes, much better.
Qui recherchez-vous?
Oui.
Sorry. Can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you. Okay.
Yes. So did you get what I?
Okay, let me feedback. So what you're saying is like, well, when I'm in a particular social situation, I find myself getting really in my head, and I can't, so I feel limited, debilitated was your word. Is that right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So that's the description of the experience that you're having typically. And so the emotion that might be connected with that is, for example, frustration, or maybe annoyance, or maybe anger or upset.
Yeah, it's a mix of it's a mix of there is a bit of fear actually, because it feels like you're trapped in a sort of through like a bubble of ice in some ways.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
There is also a bit of shame also, because like you tend to, as a response to, okay, I'm still with the group, you might smile or you might do things, but they're not really in your control, and you're rather trying to, you feel like being lame in some ways. So it's
Gotcha.
It's a bit
Gotcha.
shame.
Gotcha. Okay, excellent. So you're a bit lame in some ways. Yeah, you're coming across a bit lame because of the anxiety that you're experiencing. That's right. And a few things to say about that. For one, what people often do is they start judging themselves to be socially inept. Oh, I just have crap social skills. And what I need is more social skills. Yeah, I'm bad at socializing. I'm probably introverted. No. That's not true. When you're totally comfortable with with a family, if you have a person like that you're comfortable with, some people have their partner or like family member or like small kid or whatever. If you have a person like that and you're totally comfortable with, you'll have no problem socializing. You're just saying whatever comes to mind. And, you're not worried about the next thing you're going to say. So your social skills just go out of the water when you're whole system perceives a threat and activates the fight, flight, freeze response, puts your whole body in survival mode. Yeah, you can't be thinking on your feet. You're not funny in those moments. You can't think of stories to say. So, you know, it's inaccurate to judge yourself, you know, to not have those kinds of skills, to not have those social skills. It's the social anxiety that's messing up your social skills. When you're comfortable in a situation like that, and you're fine looking like a dumbass, and you're fine saying stupid stuff, and you're okay, you feel free to say whatever comes to mind, then you don't have that problem. It's the anxiety that's causing that. Now, you probably already know that, but there are a bunch of people watching this, so I want to point that out.
But I just want to add that also I acknowledge my social anxiety 10 days before starting the challenge, which beforehand I just thought this was, you know, part of me. I just like, it was so embedded into my identity that I didn't even realize I had a problem. So the diagnosis being so late, then I just thought that I was a mess.
Right. And how's that now? How are you feeling about that now?
Well, it's hugely different. First of all, because of like for example, like acknowledging the concept of social resistance was so helpful, because that was mainly what I had of
subconscious resistance.
Yes, like most of the reason why I wouldn't want to be socially at ease would be to go back into situations that I really hated. And so now that I'm addressing this, it's opening up in miraculous ways, like especially over the last 5 days or few days when we've been working, especially on that topic. So
awesome.
doing wonders, yeah.
Good stuff. Good stuff. Well, let's take that to the next level. I'm just gonna see how we're doing on time. Okay, we are doing quite fine, I think. Right. So another thing you said is like, well, I feel debilitated and kind of feel lame. Well, one way to free yourself, or one part of effortless social ease, in other words, just being yourself, is accepting all parts of yourself. And that includes the part of you that's lame. We're all lame, you know, me a lot more than you would believe. And so when you come to terms with that, when you accept that, there's actually lots of freedom in that, because then you don't have to hold back from being lame. You know, then you can just say whatever. Some of it will be lame and it won't bother you, because, you know, if they point out, hi, you're lame, you're like, yeah, I know, tell me about it, right? So there's no downside to it then anymore. Okay. And the other thing you mentioned was fear. I'll get to that in a second. So let's just first start with the lame stuff. So just tap on the side of your hand. By the way, I'm using a variety of techniques. This is my own style. I've been doing this for 14 years, but only for 10 years. And so it's a conglomeration of a wide variety of techniques, both from the tapping world, you know, NLP, provocative therapy, a whole bunch of stuff. So, you know, if I'm doing it wrong, fine. If I'm doing it right, great. It's all good. Okay. So just follow along with me. So just say, even though I am lame.
Even though I am lame.
I have to admit it.
I have to admit it.
It sucks.
It sucks.
But it's the truth.
It's the truth.
I deeply and completely. Reject myself.
Reject myself.
Beginning of the eyebrows. Because I'm so lame.
I'm so lame.
Why would I accept myself?
Why would I accept myself?
Only if I'm so lame.
If I'm so lame.
Oh no, I'm supposed to be amazing.
I'm supposed to be amazing.
Chin, I have incredible talent.
I have incredible talent.
Collarbone. I'm so smart and sophisticated.
I'm so smart and sophisticated.
Under the arms, and yet I have this shitty social anxiety challenge.
And yet I have this social anxiety challenge. Shitty.
Liver point. I am so lame.
I am so lame.
Wrist point. No, I'm not.
No, I'm not.
Top of that. Oh, yes, I am.
Oh, yes, I am.
Beginning of the eyebrows. It's like I invented it.
It's like I invented it.
So yes, I'm really good at being lame.
I'm really good at being lame.
Under the eyes. Sometimes I'm not lame.
Sometimes I'm not lame.
I don't know. I have my moments.
I have my moments.
Chin, but I'm often enough lame enough.
I'm often enough, lame enough.
Collarbone. And I choose to accept myself anyway.
Yeah, I choose to accept myself anyway.
Good deep breath. Thoughts, feelings, what are you noticing?
Yeah, I mean, while we were doing it, I actually had that thought, like you said a week ago, that thing about being smart. And for a long time, I actually wondered if I had like, additional intellectual capabilities on some matters. And that was very, actually, it made me feel awkward.
Yeah.
And because I didn't really diagnose it or talked about it, then I sort of felt I'm part of those guys that are meant to be awkward. And but what came along with that is obviously a self-rejection for like anything that would be lame. I would obviously, that would trigger some very strong judgment in me about others, but therefore about myself as well.
Sure.
So it's then very much boosting the fear of judgment, either my way towards others or the way of others judging me, but it doesn't matter.
Gotcha.
One way or the other is very painful to experience anyway.
Yes, it is. Yes, it is.
So,
okay, gotcha.
Yeah. That's it.
Sorry, my internet's a bit wonky, but can you hear me okay now? We're still good?
Yeah.
Yeah, okay. So just say, I'm meant to be awkward.
I'm meant to be awkward.
How's it, 0 to 10? How true does that feel?
Yeah, I'd say an 8.
Okay, beginning of the eyebrows. So that's a belief, and a belief is nothing more than a thought that has emotion connected to it. That's why it's so damn difficult to change them by just being logical, okay, I believe that I'm not good enough. You go to a therapist and he's like, no, well, let's talk about all the things that are good about you. You're a nice person. You have a good sense of humor. You help that lady cross the street. Look at you. You're a good person. And you're sitting in the office like, yeah, I'm so nice. Yeah. But you go out, you go into a social situation and boom, that deeply written, I'm not good enough feeling activates, because that little reframing that you do as a 30-something-year-old doesn't do much for the emotions connected to it that actually have their roots in childhood. So that's a more extreme example, because that's an identity belief. I'm not good enough. What you're talking about now, I'm meant to be awkward, is not necessarily an identity belief. It's just, kind of like a capability belief. And so, but it's an 8. So it's something that you're kind of strongly attached to emotionally. So what the tapping does is it disconnects the emotion from the thought that you're thinking. So the simplest way to apply it, and by the way, it doesn't always work in this way, but this is the first way in, and it always works, tapping, when you apply it in the right way, except for when you're severely depressed. Then you need, or you have other issues. I'm talking about social anxiety. It's always working for social anxiety in my experience. And I've been working with hundreds of people for 10 years. So, simple way to start off is to simply say, I'm meant to be awkward.
I'm meant to be awkward.
Collarbone, I am meant to be awkward.
I'm meant to be awkward.
On the arms, this is true about me.
This is true about me.
Liver point, I'm meant to be awkward.
I'm meant to be awkward.
Okay, so it's simply repeating the same thing from point to point. But we can get a little bit more fancy, but by going into some of the reasons for why you believe that. I'm meant to be awkward.
I'm meant to be awkward.
Because I'm so incredibly smart.
Because I'm so incredibly smart.
Beginning of the eyebrows. You should spend some time with me.
You should spend some time with me.
And you'd figure out how brilliant I am.
And you'd figure out how brilliant I am.
Oh yeah, and people as brilliant as me.
And people as brilliant as me.
I don't know, they're meant to be awkward.
They're meant to be awkward.
And weird.
And weird.
Collarbone. Truth is, I'm pretty weird.
Truth is, I'm pretty weird.
By the way, another almost universal belief for people that suffer from social anxiety. They think them weird, they're different, they stand out, they don't fit in. Okay, you know, that's a belief that you start having because that's what you notice. It's not true. It's just because of the anxiety experience, that's what happens. You kind of look weird and you appear weird at moments, you know? Okay, so just say I release all my emotional attachments.
I release all my emotional attachments.
To I'm weird and it's bad.
To I'm weird and it's bad.
Top of that, I release all my emotional attachments.
I release all my emotional attachments.
To I'm meant to be awkward.
To I'm meant to be awkward.
Beginning of the airbrush, what are you noticing now?
So the
told you I was gonna sweat like crazy. Okay, I'm gonna change my t-shirt. Anyway.
So the thought that came around towards the end was actually it's fine to be awkward, and it's actually it would be nice to be awkward, but to accept that awkwardness, you know, to its full level, and to actually that realizing, thinking of some people that I actually, you know, considered as awkward, but in a fully accepting way, and like fully, you know, being themselves basically, and playing with that awkwardness, and creating their sort of like they're making their show out of it, which I would generally do the exact opposite, which would be contracting it and
right.
hiding it. Yeah.
Right. Good. Excellent. Yeah. Awkward is the enemy usually, but it's actually very normal and it's part of everyday life. You know, I interviewed two of my friends. They're very socially at ease. They were a couple at the time that I interviewed them, and I asked them, so, you know, a lot of people with social anxiety have so much trouble with awkwardness. What do you would do with awkwardness? They're like, what do you mean? I'm like, well, do you ever experience it? They're like, yeah, every day. I'm like, oh, okay. They're like, yeah, it's normal. I mean, you meet people and you kind of don't know each other. You're feeling each other out. You're saying something inappropriate, or, you know, they ask you for something, you want to say no, but you mean yes, or you run into a person you haven't seen for a while, and like, are you going to talk to them? Yeah, all the time. So it's not just an experience for people with social anxiety, it's just more blown out of proportion for people with social anxiety because they're a no to awkwardness. I have to avoid it at all costs, and if it happens, it's my fault. Not true. That's just in your mind. Yeah. Okay, good. I'm just more saying that for other people. You know, I think you're quite aware of that, but you know,
No, it's interesting.
Yeah. Good. Good. So how are you doing right now? Are you feeling right now?
Yeah, it's quite down actually. Probably 1, I'd say.
Okay.
Versus 4. Yeah.
Cool. I'm gonna leave you, and I'm gonna go back to Victoria. Victoria.
Hello.
Hello. I'm gonna let you sweat for a second. Actually, you can mute yourself for you can mute yourself for a second, and then I'll be right back. I'm actually gonna change my t-shirt. 1 second. All right. Yes. It's working up a whole river under my arms. Not that comfortable. So, so how are you doing?
I'm good. I'm feeling all right. It's nice to hear other people. Obviously, as I said, this is like my 20th day of any kind of self-help. So to come into it with kind of no social life anyway, no one really gets my social anxiety when I do talk about it. So obviously joining this community, so to speak, it's really refreshing to hear other people's kind of struggles and know that it's not just me, and it is normal. Well, it's not normal, but it should be normalized because a lot of people do suffer from it.
Yeah. Great. That's good. It's nice to have that acknowledgement. You know, like I remember traveling in the Philippines once. I had a panic attack, and it was incredibly scary, like very, very fucking scary. And won't tell the whole story because it takes too long. But basically, my girlfriend at the time, I was explaining to her how I was feeling in the middle of the panic attack, and I was like, I think I'm going crazy, blah blah. You know, she's like, are you having a panic attack? I've had those many times. I'm like, oh really? She's like, yeah, those are normal. We'll go away. And just reading up on it later, that this is what that is, and this is what happened to you, gave me a real sense of relief. I'm like, oh, okay, I'm not crazy. I'm not alone in this. Other people have it too. So yeah, I mean, it doesn't solve the problem, but at least you feel acknowledged that you have a bit of relief.
I've had social anxiety for as long as I can remember now. There wasn't kind of one turning point, so to speak, but back in February of this year, so not long ago really, just before lockdown really, there was a management meeting at work, and I obviously had, an episode, so to speak. So, like the burning up, freezing, and I just knew it as the norm because it had always happened for as long as I can remember. But it really freaked me out. I couldn't speak. I didn't want anyone to look at me. I couldn't really breathe. I just wanted to run away. I wanted the ground to swallow me up. But I went home and I beat myself up about it so much. I just thought, oh, I made myself look like such an idiot in front of all my colleagues, my boss, the boss's wife, all of this. I just felt so stupid about it. And I got home and I thought, right, I need to do something. So I Googled it and I said, right, I feel this way in social situations. What is it? And then I actually discovered that it was something called social anxiety. And that's the first moment in all of my life that I actually understood what I suffer from. I wasn't just an introvert. I didn't avoid social situations because I didn't like people. It was because I have quite bad social anxiety. So to come to that realization only a couple of months ago, I then obviously started listening to podcasts, which was yours. And then here I am. So
amazing. You're very efficient in your journey, I must say.
Yeah, I must admit.
Yeah, good for you. Good for you. Okay. All right, let's see what we can do to take things to the next level. So let me just check. We started, so we're about an hour in roughly. Okay, cool. So how's the anxiety right now?
2, if that, just now.
Okay, gotcha. All right. So what's your worst social anxiety problem?
What do you mean, symptoms when it shows up, or just my problem with it?
Symptoms when it shows up. So like in what situations is it the worst? Is it when you're center of attention? Is it like
it's I'm gonna be honest, it's quite bad in all situations. I mean, it's got to the point where if I'm making a joke around my parents where I should feel comfortable, it will just kick in. All of a sudden it'll flare up. And in those moments, that's why I beat myself up about it so much, because it started to happen at work. It started to happen in my safe spaces, so to speak. So that's why I needed to address it. But anytime that someone even says my name, asks me a question that I know the answer to, and I know that I can answer confidently, but for some reason it just shows up. So it's pretty much got to the point where it's anytime anyone's speaking to me.
Okay.
So it's quite bad. Yeah, I'd say so.
Yeah. Yeah, I got you. And so is it when you're in the spotlight? Is it when the attention is on you? Is it when there's pressure? Is it when you have to perform? Is it like in that area? Is it then exaggerated or not?
100%. So it happened, I'd say it happens nearly every day. I'll have an episode, I call it. But I spoke to my boss only on Wednesday, I think it was, midweek. And he just turned around to me and was like, oh, hi, Victoria, how are you doing? And then all of a sudden, just instant, my heart's racing, can't really breathe. Even though it's a simple question, I just feel so stupid about it because I have to turn my back on him and I know I'm looking so rude. But in that moment, I don't know what to do. I can't answer it. I can know I'm probably bright red. I look just so stupid. So I just want to run away. It's horrible.
Yep. Okay. And so let's take that example. Okay. So when he says, "Hey Victoria, how are you doing?" What is the threat that you're seeing, or what's the worry that you're having, or what are you afraid of that might happen, or what can't happen, or what are you trying to avoid? Or
I'd say it's become the fear of being anxious. So when he walks in, so even if I see that his car's just pulled up, I'm already thinking, oh no, I need to prevent some sort of episode here, because I'll look like an idiot again. I think it's the fear of being anxious.
Yes. We're actually going to address that later on in the challenge a bit, still. And this is actually the number 2 social fear that people with social anxiety deal with, based upon all the people on my email list that I polled. Send out an email to everyone saying, hey, here are the 10 most common social fears. Vote which is your worst one. Number 1, fear of negative judgment. Number 2, fear of being seen anxious. Number 3, fear of embarrassing yourself. So on each of those 3, I did a coaching series on this one as well. So fear of being seen anxious. Now this can be something that shifts quite quickly, or it can be like my volunteer at the time, Damien. We worked for 4 sessions. We significantly reduced it because it was linked to every other element of his social anxiety.
Sure.
So it had a lot of with lack of self-acceptance. It had a lot to do with lack of self-acceptance, and it's also very common because what happens is you feel anxious over and over and over, and you notice how shitty it is, how much trouble it causes you, how painful it is, and then your brain starts to link the anxiety symptoms, label them as a threat itself. So now you're going about your day, and you might walk up the stairs, or you might do a bit of dancing. You sit down and you notice that your heart is beating. You're like, oh my God, am I getting anxious? And just that thought will start to trigger the anxiety.
Exactly. Yeah.
Or the slightest thought of it will start to make it spiral out of control. Okay. So since that's actually very common, we'll do a bit of work on it right now. Adi, if you can relate to that, lift your hand. If not, that's okay. Okay, he can relate. All right, there we go. Antoine, could you hear that? Can you relate to that as well?
Sorry, I was.
That's all right. All good. Yeah, all good. Can you relate to the fear of getting anxious, or the fear of being seen anxious?
Yes, 200%.
Okay, gotcha. Okay, cool. Thanks. I'll go back to Victoria then. Victoria, 0 to 10. I'm afraid. Okay, which one is more accurate? I'm afraid to get anxious, or I'm afraid to be seen anxious?
I'm afraid to be seen anxious, 100%.
Okay, all right. 0 to 10, how strong is that for you right now when you measure it?
Quite strongly. Thinking about other situations that I've just experienced in the past week, how much I don't want that to happen again, to be seen it, or just seen as rude because I'm avoiding them. I'd say probably 8. Yeah.
Oh, okay. And is that an 8 that you viscerally feel in your body right now?
In my body, I don't feel anxious just now, but the thought of previous events in the past week or so, I'd say, yeah, it's quite strong.
And you say, it's kind of happening every day, right?
Yeah,
So
definitely.
there are probably recurring situations in which that happens then, which are likely going to happen in your coming week then. Fair to say?
Yeah. So,
Okay.
I mean, so definitely, like, if I know the boss is going to come in, I'll make a conscious effort to be at my desk and have my back to him, so that I don't have to kind of bring up that, that feeling.
Right. And when you think of, I'm afraid to be seen anxious, and you kind of take that scene that is coming up in the future, does that help you to tune into that fear?
Yeah, I'd say so. It's quite high when I think of that.
And where do you feel that it's quite high? Is that in your chest, throat?
That's it. Yeah, here.
Chest. Yeah. kind of anxiety-like feeling. And all right, just be tapping, everyone. All right, stop tapping. My bad. Okay, so it's about an 8. You feel it in your chest. All right, so what's so bad about it?
What isn't bad about it? It's just as we always say, debilitating. It's the prevention of doing things that I should be able to do. You know, if we're having a tea break at lunch, I want to be able to sit there and not have to worry that 4 people will all of a sudden turn at me if I start speaking. I want to be able to speak about the working day without worrying about people looking at me whilst I'm saying it.
Totally, I'm with you. But what you're talking about right now is slightly different from the fear, because right now you're talking more about, well, I have this debilitating problem and it's frustrating me. You know,
Sure.
it's limiting me and I'm pissed off and annoyed at it, which is totally fine, which is another aspect of the problem. But I meant, what's so bad about being seen anxious? So say
sure.
that your employer sees you anxious.
Yeah. I think it's just the point that I know that my colleagues, because we get on so well and we have a laugh, I know that they'd point it out. They'd be like, oh, look at you, you've gone so red. Why have you gone so red? You look so stupid. Like, I know, like, just lighthearted, but to me, it'd get me, and it'd just make it spiral out of control. And that's why it's so bad. I'd rather avoid that at all costs.
Right, exactly. So what would it mean if they were to see you anxious? I know everyone tries to avoid it happening, including myself. You know, we don't want to look weak, we want to look cool and all that kind of stuff, right? It's just normal. But what's so bad about it? You know, what does it mean when someone sees you anxious?
I think I just look weak. And I feel like because it happens quite often in a professional environment, I just think that it's unprofessional, and that my boss would think me incapable of doing my work to the full potential and that kind of stuff.
And if you would be unprofessional and incapable of doing your work and weak, what kind of person would that make you? What might be that harsh judgment? In other words, what would it mean about you if they saw you anxious?
Well, I guess I just look weak. And if you can't act professional at work or act normal, then what can you do? And it comes down to everything. If you can't follow what you want to do career-wise, then kind of what's the point, you know?
Yeah, sure. So I'm weak, 0 to 10. How true does that feel?
7.
Okay. All right. I'm just going to check in with Antoine. For you, I'm weak, 0 to 10. Is that something that you can relate to?
Yeah, pretty much. Maybe 7, sometimes 8. It can be strong.
Gotcha. Yeah. And the fear of being seen anxious, can you relate to that as well?
Yeah.
0 to 10.
I realized before getting into the session that I spent so much time hiding it. So adding another layer onto the anxiety of like making best effort to appear confident, because I thought that was the way, that was just the best way of doing it, and clearly that also impacted, like, sort of increased the feeling of the fear of feeling anxious.
Yeah, and yes, indeed. And when you think about it now, how strong is that fear of being seen anxious?
Slightly less, probably around 5 or 6, I guess, in general, if I think about it in general. Yeah.
Gotcha. Yeah. So about 5, 6 on the fear, and about a 7 for I am weak.
Yeah.
Right? Yeah. Okay. Thanks. Adi, for you?
To be seen weak is probably like maybe 8 or 9.
Okay.
And
slightly different, huh? How you're saying it. To be seen weak. But that's kind of what it means for you. You've linked it together already. But can you just say I am weak and see how true does that feel? By the way, sorry to interrupt you, but I'm asking, how does it feel? Not the logic of it, because the logically you might go, it's like, hey, I do the right things, and I'm strong of character, and I'm persistent and never give up, blah blah blah. But how does it feel? That's what we're after. So I'm weak, 0 to 10.
Probably an 8.
Okay, gotcha. And the fear of being seen anxious, 0 to 10.
Probably quite high, like a 9.
Okay, gotcha. Thank you. Okay, please mute yourself, and then I'll go back to Victoria. Okay, isn't this beautiful? Right? How relatable is this? And this is across the board. I see this all the time, and now there are a couple of examples, but there are many, many more examples of very common beliefs and very common fears that everyone has. It's just such a, anyway, it's very similar.
It's refreshing to hear, yes.
Yeah, good.
100%.
Great. And what I want to do is I want to do a bit of tapping on this with you, which is going to help all of us. And then I'll just see after that. It's going to be around the end. We'll see if there are any questions, because I don't know if I can get to those questions because of this crappy internet situation. So I'm using my phone as the modem to my, let's see. But so I am weak. Okay, so there, you guys like Antoine 7, Adi 8, Victoria are also a 7 on that I am weak belief. And like I said earlier, it's just a thought with a feeling connected to it, and it's often an old feeling, an archaic feeling. Meaning, Victoria, how old are you?
I'm 20.
Yeah, you're 20. So it's not 20-year-old Victoria's feeling. It might be like 8-year-old Victoria's feeling. And the same for Antoine and Adi. It's actually these older, like when you're a little kid, those feelings get stuck. And I don't know, you're hanging out with your dad, and your dad is kind of a man's man or whatever. And he ridicules you for being a wimp. Okay, and he does it in a particular way that it actually gets to you. Now, it might not be a big traumatic experience. It might be something seemingly insignificant, but that can then cause a belief like that to stick into your subconscious mind. And later you're 20 or you're 30 years old and you're still walking around with the feelings of that 8-year-old kid. And of course, there can be more severe things. And then there can also be a lot of, which is more common, repetitive negative experiences in early childhood with parents that cause that belief to get stuck in your system. But nonetheless, it's just an emotionalized thought that can be released and let go of using the tapping. How far we can get with that right now, I don't know, but we will see. We'll just do a little bit. But we're actually going to address this later on in the challenge. And I think day 23 or something is when we're going to look at this. But for now, let's just work with the I am weak belief. So yeah, let's play. So on the other hand, just say, even though I am weak.
Even though I'm weak.
And it sucks.
It sucks.
Well, hey, this is just me.
This is just me.
And even though it sucks.
Even though it sucks.
There's a part of me that doesn't want to let go of this belief.
There's a part of me that doesn't want to let go of this belief.
Maybe I don't deserve to let it go.
Maybe I don't deserve to let it go.
Maybe I can't let it go.
Maybe I can't let it go.
Maybe it's part of my identity.
Maybe it's part of my identity.
And I don't know who I'd be without it.
I don't know who I'd be without it.
Maybe without it, I won't have any control.
Maybe without it, I wouldn't have any control.
Or maybe I'd even die.
Maybe I'd die.
But for whatever reason, good or bad, logical or not.
But for whatever reason, good or bad, logical or not.
I'm not going to let go.
I'm not going to let go.
Of this belief that I'm weak.
Of this belief that I'm weak.
And I release all my emotional attachments.
I release all my emotional attachments.
To my resistance.
To my resistance.
To letting go of this belief.
To letting go of this belief.
That I'm weak.
That I'm weak.
Top of that, I'm weak.
I'm weak.
I'm incredibly weak.
I'm incredibly weak.
On the side of the eyes. If there were awards, how do you say it in UK English? Awards.
Awards.
If there were awards for weakness,
If there were awards for weakness,
on the eyes, I'd win them.
I'd win them.
I don't know. I'd smoke the competition.
I'd smoke the competition.
Chin, I'd have first, second, and third place.
I'd have first, second, and third place.
Collarbone, I'm world class at being weak.
I'm world class at being weak.
Under the arms. It's a miracle I can still keep myself standing.
It's a miracle I can still keep myself standing.
Wrist point. I'm indescribably weak.
I'm indescribably weak.
Top of that, there's nothing strong about me.
There's nothing strong about me.
The eyebrows. That's not true.
That's not true.
Say guys, I'm like Superwoman.
I'm like Superwoman.
On the eyes, I'm incredibly strong.
I'm incredibly strong.
On the nose, I am so powerful.
I'm so powerful.
Chin, I am the epitome of a strong person.
I'm the epitome of a strong person.
Collarbone, I'm tall. I'm strong and I'm tough.
I'm strong and I'm tough.
On the arms, and I am so powerful.
And I'm so powerful.
Wrist point. If you really knew how powerful I was.
If you really knew how powerful I was.
Top of that, you'd be really freaking scared of me.
You'd be really scared of me.
Being of the eyebrows, except for the fact that I'm so weak.
Except for the fact that I'm so weak.
Say eyes. I'm pretty weak at being powerful.
I'm pretty weak at being powerful.
On the eyes, but I'm powerfully weak.
I'm powerfully weak.
No, there's nothing powerful about being so weak.
There's nothing powerful about being so weak.
But that's a weak thing to say.
But that's a weak thing to say.
Collarbone. So it doesn't apply to me.
So it doesn't apply to me.
On the arms, except for when it does.
Except for when it does.
Live point. I'm powerfully ignoring the fact that I'm weak.
Ignoring the fact that I'm weak.
Unless I'm not.
Unless I'm not.
If the eyebrows, I shouldn't be weak.
I shouldn't be weak.
Say yes, but I am.
But I am.
Yes, it's bad to be weak.
It's bad to be weak.
Unless I'm powerful.
Unless I'm powerful.
Chin, I'm not powerful.
I'm not powerful.
Collarbone, but I should be.
But I should be.
On the arms, or maybe not.
Or maybe not.
Wrist point. And top of the head, deep breath. Keep tapping. What are you noticing? What are you aware of?
I don't know, every time I finish tapping, I feel lighter. And it sounds weird, but it's like a weight's been lifted.
Mm-hmm. Good.
It's all good things. It's so weird. I mean, like I keep on saying, this is like my 20th day, and I've never heard of EFT in my life until I started this 30-day challenge. And I was so skeptical when I first did it, because it's literally just tapping your face. And I know a lot of people probably think, what the hell? But every time I do it, I genuinely try my best to tune in with that feeling. And when I do that for an hour a day, I do feel lighter at the end of it. It's pretty powerful.
Excellent. Good. And what we just did is we focused on, okay, so you're afraid to be seen anxious, because if you're seen anxious, the judgment of other people means that you're weak. That's what you're afraid of. That's what you're trying to avoid. But actually, the fear of other people's judgment is you judging yourself and projecting it onto other people. It's kind of interesting how our brain does that. And so by doing a bit of tapping in the way that we did, and we combined a bunch of techniques, we take a little bit of the charge out of that weakness. And, by the way, it's a very Western concept that you're supposed to be strong and cool, and have it together. In Western countries, that's in certain Eastern countries, doesn't matter so much, and so it's a mind-made concept. And when you ease that concept, when you take some of the emotional charge out of it, then indeed you feel lighter because you have more of your genuine, authentic you energy available, because you're not dumbed down and restricted by that concept any longer. So excellent.
Sure.
Yeah. So how does that feel for you now when you say that I'm weak?
I don't consider myself to be weak as much now. When I put it into context and think that, as we always say, you're not social anxiety. You just have the problem. You know, it's not you. It doesn't define you. So why should I think I'm weak when I have just a challenge?
Okay, excellent, good. Let me check in with the rest. Okay, Antoine.
Yes, yeah, it definitely went down, but I'm also acknowledging the fact that I've done my share of self-loathing on that subject.
Good.
So therefore, probably it also accepting the judgment of it. First of all, the judgment of judging myself, or the acceptance of judging myself for being weak, for feeling weak. But yeah, it has definitely gone down probably by 1 or 2 already.
Okay, very good. Let me check in with Adi.
Yeah, I think it's gone down a bit, maybe like 1 or 2.
Okay,
Not as strong as before.
Okay, good. And I'll go back to, no, I'll stay with Adi for a second. Okay, so, sorry, Victoria, I'll come back to you in a sec to check in, okay? I'm so suave. Okay, so fear of being seen anxious for you. Check in and see if that's still the same. If so, totally fine. I'm just checking in.
I think I said, what, 9 before?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
I would say now maybe like a 7.
Okay, good. And is there another reason why you're so afraid of being seen anxious? Like, what's the worst about it for you?
That like I might seem weird, like creepy or something.
Okay. All right. Gotcha. So this is fun. So just tap here. So just say, I'm kind of a weird, creepy guy.
I'm kind of weird, creepy guy.
No, I'm not.
No, I'm not.
Yes, I am.
Yes, I am.
I don't know. I have all these impure thoughts.
I have all these impure thoughts.
Chin, that no other guy has.
That no other guy has.
Collarbone. And I'm kind of a creepy, weird guy.
And I'm kind of a creepy, weird guy.
Under the arms. But that's supposed to be a secret.
But that's supposed to be a secret.
Wrist point. People shouldn't know about that.
People should know about that.
On the top of that, I have to hide that.
I have to hide that.
On the beginning of the eyebrows, I release all my emotional attachments.
I release all my emotional attachments.
To being a creepy, weird guy.
To being a creepy, weird guy.
By the way, I'm a creepy, weird guy too, so you're not alone in this. I mean, Antoine's surely not, but you know, we're on the same page here. So yeah, just say it's really bad to be weird and creepy.
It's really bad to be weird and creepy.
Oh no, that's what they say.
That's what they say.
Have you seen Pulp Fiction? You're from the UK. You should, you know. You've seen Pulp Fiction?
Most of it, yeah.
Most of it.
I need to finish it.
All right. Okay, well, then I won't go there. But Mrs. Mia Wallace, anyway, I'm going to butcher this too badly. But just say, they say a lot, don't they?
They say a lot, don't they?
On the arms. And what they say is really important.
And what they say is really important.
Wrist point. It really matters so much.
It really matters so much.
Stop that, unless it doesn't.
Unless it doesn't.
I'm open to considering the possibility.
I'm open to consider possibility.
That it doesn't matter as much.
That it doesn't matter as much.
As a part of me.
As a part of me.
Has convinced me that it does.
Has convinced me that it does.
Beginning of the eyebrows. And I'm willing to doubt that more and more.
And I'm willing to doubt that more and more.
Sadi eyes, that it's that important.
That it's that important.
Eyes, but it is really important what they think of me.
But it is really important what they think of me.
I don't know, or is it?
Or is it?
Chin, I wonder.
I wonder.
Collarbone, I'm choosing to be really curious about that.
I'm choosing to be really curious about that.
Under the arms, because there's a part of my being that already knows.
Because there's a part of my being that already knows.
On the wrist point, that how I feel about myself is more important.
That how I feel about myself is more important.
On the top of the head. And there is a part of my being that feels good about me.
And there is a part of my being that feels good about me.
That knows that I'm a good guy.
That knows that I'm a good guy.
On the beginning of the eyebrows. And that part of my being.
And that part of my being.
Is informing the rest of me now.
Is informing the rest of me now.
Say yes. It's doing so with grace and ease.
And it's doing so with grace and ease.
On the eyes. My mind, body, and spirit.
My mind, body, and spirit.
Is now receiving this information.
Is now receiving this information.
I don't know, it's information transfer complete.
Information transfer complete.
Good. On the chin. So even though I'm a creepy weirdo.
Even though I'm a creepy weirdo.
Collarbone, that's just one side of me.
That's just one side of me.
Under the arms. Deep breath. Okay, what are you noticing, Adi?
Feels like the feeling's gone a bit like down, a bit lower.
Okay, good.
Feel like it's okay to like feel that way.
Okay.
Not feel like judged by it.
Okay, good. Great. And how's the fear of being seen anxious? Did that shift at all?
Gone down a bit, maybe like 6.
Okay, gotcha. Let's do a little bit of tapping on that. Just say, I release all my emotional attachments.
I release all my emotional attachments.
To this resistance.
To this resistance.
To letting go of that fear.
To letting go of that fear.
Of being seen anxious.
Of being seen anxious.
So yes, they can't see me anxious.
They can't see me anxious.
Yes, they can.
Yes, they can.
No, no. It's definitely possible.
It's definitely possible.
Chin, I can't handle that.
I can't handle that.
Collarbone, yes, I can.
Yes, I can.
On the arms, it's not pretty.
It's not pretty.
on the wrist point, I don't exactly look socially suave.
I don't exactly look socially suave.
Top of that, but I am surviving it.
But I am surviving it.
And I have survived it many times.
And I have survived it many times.
And I'm willing to consider.
And I'm willing to consider.
That as I accept it.
That as I accept it.
It might be less big of a deal for me.
It might be less big of a deal to me.
Good, deep breath. And how are you doing now, Adi?
Yeah, I think it's a bit better about it.
0 to 10, no right or wrong answer.
Probably about a 5 now.
Okay, good. Good. Antoine, how are you doing? Thanks, Adi.
Good. Yeah, definitely want some credit for feeling creepy and weird every now and again. But you know, it's
fine. You're also a creep.
And yeah, like the just last quote that came around was fear of being, but it's actually very related to the first one. So there is a note here, but fear of being a know-it-all or being actually being looking overconfident while I'm feeling the exact opposite, which is kind of good. Yeah.
Yeah. Good. Yeah, lots of insights come from doing this kind of work, and there are many relatable thoughts. So, like I said, for someone, okay, fear of being seen anxious, you tap on it, and boom, it actually drops, and they don't have that problem anymore. For other people, most people, it's a period of time of working on it, because it actually points to a bigger issue of lack of self-acceptance. And you need to go on a self-acceptance journey, coming to terms with yourself, being okay with you, liking all parts of you, including the creepy, weird parts of you and the weak parts of you, and so on and so forth. Because then you bring all of you to the party, so to speak, and then you don't have to hide certain parts of you. You know, if you don't have to hide the weird, creepy part, actually, then you become less of a weird, creepy guy by accepting that part. And if you don't have to hide that weak part of you, you actually become a lot stronger. So, you know, it's a bit.
It's like it feels like it's peeling out all the resistances of being something, and then actually integrating all those being, basically all those parts of being.
Yes. Yeah. Yes. It's owning all of you. Yeah. You know, so it's a very liberating process, but it can take time. But the good thing is, there's so much liberation in it, and there's also so much mental and emotional well-being within it. And a lot of people, I mean, it really sucks to have social anxiety. Like, you know, I haven't spoken about it here, but I've spoken about it in many areas, many platforms in great detail. I definitely know what the suffering is. We don't have to go into that. But there's something so profound that you get out of it, that the social anxiety becomes really a gift, because it forces you to go inside, to look inside what's not wired well. And you're going on such a personal development journey that you become so much more okay with you in the end than most people are. And you're so much happier and at peace and congruent and solid when you actually go on the path, that it becomes a tremendous gift. It's kind of like people that get cancer, you know, God forbid, right? But people that get cancer and that overcome it, that say, hey, it's the best thing that happened to me. You know, it's a bit like that. And, you know, I'm like, it's very touchy topic, but it's I'm trying to make a comparison, you know. So when you actually start doing the work, as you start doing the work, you start gaining relief, and the relief happens pretty quickly. Like we're saying, we're 20 days in, and you're already making quite a lot of progress. So yeah, it's great. Cool. Right, so I'll just check in with Victoria. How are you doing?
I'm very well, thank you. I'm good. I'm feeling good.
Okay. How's the anxiety?
It's in this moment, in this current situation, it's pretty much zero, I'd say. Yeah.
Cool. Good stuff. All right. Let me just check in with Leah. I will leave it here. Are you guys good?
Yeah.
Yeah. Antoine, are you good?
Yeah.
Can we leave it here?
Sure.
Adi?
Yeah. All good.
Okay, excellent. Leah, can you come into the screen, or at least can we hear your voice? Say hello to superstar from Team Social Anxiety Solutions, Leah. There she is. Okay. So what I do not know how to do right now is like, I can take like maybe 15 minutes of answers, questions and answers. We can do that just for me, I guess, and then I'll just say goodbye to the rest. Is that possible, Leah?
Yeah, I think so. So I've gathered some questions and comments that you can pick probably.
Okay, I'll let you be the judge. So then, how will they get out of screen? Unless you want to keep hanging, but how do they do that?
I mean, Victoria and all the rest.
Yeah.
They can just hit end.
Okay, easy enough. All right, well, guys, thank you so much for being a brave volunteer. Really appreciate it. Very cool. Thank you so much. This is very cool. I'm much appreciated, and lots of people are going to benefit from this a lot, and they have already just by tapping along and you guys being brave and trailblazing. So thank you mucho. Very, very cool.
Thank you for doing this.
Yeah, sure. See you guys inside the challenge. Okay.
Thank you. Bye.
Bye.
Thank you, Seb.
Thank you.
Take care.
Take care, guys. Right on. Here we are, Leah. Kick it off. I'll do about 15 minutes. I'm getting really tired now.
First question from Hello MRDJ. Sebastian, how do you know if you're actually an extrovert with SA?
Man, that's a difficult question to kick off. Don't you have anything easy? Well, Leah, what would you say? Based upon,
Wow.
No. Based upon what we've been doing in terms of testing recently. 16personalities.com. Well, one way to find out whether you're an introvert or an extrovert, I'll take it over. Don't worry. One way to find out whether you're an introvert or an extrovert is to go to 16personalities.com. It's a fantastic test. I let Leah sweat a little bit because we're finding some new team members, and part of what we're letting them do is we're letting them do that test because we want to see if they're a right fit for our team. So that's a good way to find out whether you're an introvert or an extrovert. Now, I know that you're not asking it for that reason, but you can be an extrovert with social ease, or you can be an introvert with social ease. I've got lots of friends that are introverts, and they're perfectly fine at ease. They won't be as annoyingly outgoing as me. They won't be like center of attention and talking to everyone all the time, but they're comfortable with themselves. So I also have a podcast about this where I interview Ulrike Weissenbacher. She's a psychotherapist and a tapping and a variety of other energy psychology techniques expert. So she's both well-versed in both worlds, and you can find her by going to socialanxietysolutions.com/Ulrike, ULRIKE. Thank you for your question. Next question.
Next question from Hossein Kani. I am going to make a mindset to follow a long journey of EFT. Do you have any guidance to do that?
Yes, I will take some action every day for as long as it takes until the problem is resolved completely, and where necessary, I will get outside help. There you go. Next question. Thanks for saying great question.
How to work on problem with looking into eyes from Anistar.
Hi, Anistar. When you have problems looking into someone's eyes, that is a self-acceptance problem, a shame-related problem. That means that there's something that you're hiding. But say that you're 20 years old, it might be, that you have some kind of habits that you don't want other people to find out, for example. But often it's also you as a 7-year-old or a 12-year-old, or throughout your whole childhood, were shamed. And there's a whole sense of shame attached to who it is that you are at a not at a fundamental level, at a deep level. And you're not born with that problem. It's developed over time. And so you need to get rid of the experiences that cause that belief system and the emotions connected to that. And how to go about that, that's way beyond this little space that I have here. That's a whole course. But it's a journey of self-acceptance that you're going on. But basically, when you look someone in the eyes and you internally are like, I love myself. I feel great about myself. I like myself. I respect myself. I trust myself. Then your expectation is that the person that you're looking in the eyes is going to feel the same towards you. And then it feels safe to have eye contact, maintain eye contact, break it, look away, do whatever you want with your eye contact. It's not a skill having eye contact. It's just something that happens naturally. That's why I talk about effortless social ease. So I hope that helps you. Thank you for your question. You might want to have a look on my website for the coaching series called Neutralize Your Shame and Fear of Embarrassment. These are 5 coaching webinars that I did with a lady named Leah. Go check it out. Leah, sorry, not Leah. This is Leah. Leah, next question.
Earlier this week, Seb did a tapping where it was just about focusing on a feeling without talking. Other times you speak while tapping. When is the best time to use each of these methods? From Hello MRDJ again.
Okay. Well, for one, this is a very forgiving technique. And I just shared with you 2 particular techniques. And there are many more. What I've given you is just a simple way. So one way that I've shared is like, focus on the feeling while you tap. Just focus on the feeling. You don't have to talk. Just allow the feeling to be there. Accept the feeling as you tap. And that, in most cases, start to resolve and release and neutralize that feeling. I think what you're referring to right now is that I'm talking while I'm tapping. A lot of what I'm saying, though, is to help people to stay tuned into the feeling. So in a way, I'm saying, for example, I'm a weirdo, I'm a creep. But what I could also say is like, this feeling of shame, this feeling of embarrassment. It's very similar, because when I say I'm a weirdo, it triggers the feelings of being ashamed. And when you're just focusing on the shame, it's the same thing. Now, I do a lot more things, of course, because this is what I do, and like, there are different techniques. But the foundation of the words originally was to keep you tuned into the feeling. Okay, I hope that helps. Thanks for your question. Next, Leah.
From Victoria.
Victoria, go.
I wanted to ask on Zoom, but I was wondering, obviously, you yourself have overcome social anxiety after years of suffering, but have you ever had any experiences recently where those symptoms show?
Yeah, yesterday. Right? I told you yesterday. Yeah. Because I've never done a YouTube live yet, and like I said, some people might really, want to sabotage things or be mean or be out to get me, and that is something that I tuned into yesterday. I'm like, wow, what a surprise. There's still something lingering of that left. So let me clear it. So I did 20 minutes of tapping and it was gone. Prior to this, the last time that I was anxious, I don't even remember. So many months ago. So not really. It's usually when I do something that I haven't done yet, that is like, when I started salsa dancing 2 years ago, I felt some anxiety doing that for various reasons, actually. I looked like a dumbass. I was dancing with girls that actually didn't want to dance with me, because when you just start with dancing, you really, really suck. I felt like a dork, and I really looked like a dork. I still look like a dork sometimes. But compared to all these amazing dancers around me, and I felt that I had to look cool and like all of that. So that came up for me for maybe the first week or so. And I went out pretty much every day salsa dancing. And then, I tapped beforehand, and any fears or worries or dreads or concerns that I had would shift them, go out dancing, notice a couple more. When I come home, I tap through them. Next day, I would do the same process. And within a week, I was comfortable dancing salsa, still looking like a dork, still knowing girls actually don't want to dance with me, still compared to the other guys looking bad, and just being fine with it. Now that went for me real quick because of all the other deeper inner work that I've done in the past. It's not as easy usually as focus on the fears and do a bit of tapping and release it. It's usually a longer journey. But there you go. And other times I can remember was starting my podcast 3 years ago. And you know, every now and then there's a particular scenario that stands out where I feel anxious, but it's maybe like 2 times a year or 3 times a year. And if it happens, it's fine. I don't freak out about it. I don't feel bad about it. But because I know what to do about it, I clear it. And then it's another small remaining aspect of the problem that wasn't yet addressed that I then addressed. And great, even more freedom. So basically what happens when you start doing this work, in the beginning, pretty much, I mean, if you're in a really bad way, pretty much everything triggers you, and everything triggers you badly. And then things start triggering you less strongly. So your anxiety becomes less strong, and then less situations start to trigger you. And you get to have certain situations where you don't get triggered anymore. And it progressively slows down and gets better and better and better. But it's not just that your anxiety starts to decrease and eventually you're anxiety free. Also, your self-esteem starts to increase. Your self-acceptance gets improves. You become more okay, you become more lighthearted. You take things less serious. You're less, you're just less bothered by things. You're just calmer and more at ease about things. And your general mental and emotional well-being improves. So this journey improves everything across the board because this affects your relationships, your career. And so it improves everything. And those improvements that you make are permanent. And so that's for the rest of your life. So excellent question. Thank you. And thanks again for being volunteer. That was amazing. All right, I'll take one more. And then it's
Last
midnight.
one.
I've had enough. Yeah, last one.
Yeah, I was just about to say that, but then there's so much questions coming in. Okay.
Sorry.
Sorry,
Next time,
people.
guys.
Don't feel bad about me picking the last question for the night.
Yeah, getting tired.
Is it frequent that people with SA have the cycle of anxiety times and the aggressive times, quote unquote? Is it FFF response problem?
I don't understand the question. One more time, please.
I lost it. Is it frequent that people with SA have the cycle of anxiety have the cycle of anxiety times and aggressive times? Is it FFF response problem? From a star.
Okay. Didn't I already answer a money star question? Sorry, I don't understand the question. So we'll move on to the next one.
What should I do if I can't bring anxious feelings just by thinking about it? For me, it's really hard to bring emotions while at home. But as soon as I leave house, I can feel strong anxiety.
Okay. So that might be that there's more going on for you than just social anxiety. So it might be that you're dealing with other issues as well, other psychological challenges. What those are specifically, I do not know because I'm a personal coach and I only specialize in social anxiety, but that might be the case. If that indeed is the case, my best recommendation would be to go see a therapist, get an analysis or like a test to get a feel for what's going on with you. So when you have a analysis, a test, you know that it has a particular label, and then you can find an expert to work on whatever it is. Doesn't mean you don't have social anxiety. Sure, you also have social anxiety, but that other thing needs to be addressed. And by addressing that other thing with a good face-to-face therapist over time, it will likely start to do wonders for your social anxiety. And while at the same time you can do the tapping. So you can go to your therapist, and while you're having your therapy session, do finger tapping throughout the whole session. Okay, so that's one thing I have to say about this. Second, if that is the case, if there's something else going on for you, people are often scared about hearing that. They're like, oh my God, then this won't work for me. And, you know, I'm a tough case. And well, that's not necessarily true. It just means that you need to have a different kind of approach. You need to have different kind of help. And there's this ridiculous stigma on therapy that it's really bad and that you're broken or messed up if you go to a therapist. When you find an amazing therapist, oh my God, that's such a gift. I have had tons and tons of therapy or coaching, mentoring, supervision, and it's been very, very, very helpful. And sure, there are therapists that are not great. What I recommend in such a case is to find a psychotherapist, and ideally not someone who, you know, like, should I say this? Better not say this. Yeah, I'll just say what I think you would be what you do benefit a lot by, and that's by finding a good psychotherapist who might be like a relational therapist, for example. And not just, okay, I'm just only going to change my thoughts and, you know, force myself to face my fears. That's helpful to a degree, but you're likely going to benefit more with someone else there. But again, get help from your mental health provider for the right direction. And another thing with not being able to tune in, which by the way was something I've dealt with for the longest time, it often comes from you've experienced trauma over a longer period of time, and therefore your subconscious is kind of shut off your ability to feel your emotions so strongly, and you kind of, you know, become cut off from everything. You're very much in your head and not in your body. There are different kinds of techniques, energy psychology techniques that are very helpful, that you might, additionally to working with a therapist, not the primary thing, the secondary thing, want to do as well. One of them is emotion code. The other one is body code. Psyche can be very helpful. Matrix re-imprinting can be very helpful. TAT might be helpful. And in addition to that, if that is all not the case, it could simply be you're not really tuning in properly. So, okay, you might need a little bit more time to tune in. So you can close your eyes and think of a past time that something happened. Are you then see what you saw, hear what you heard, feel what you felt? Are you able to get any emotion there? You completely numb there? When you think about a future event, are you completely numb there? When you imagine in the here and now, in a social situation, are you completely numb there? Then it's my best recommendation to work with a therapist. In other scenarios, you might simply need a little bit more time to tune in, and you might simply only get a little bit. Well, that little bit is something that you can work with. But if you have trouble with this, it's at the very least that you're going to have to work with someone else in order to work through this, aside from the fact that you can tap along with this. And I'd be curious to see what your results are if you indeed started from the start of this all the way to the end, maybe now and also in the coming days. If you find that that benefits you, then this is another resource for you in order to make progress, but it shouldn't be the main event. I recommend working with a face-to-face therapist because there's stuff that you need to work through. And by the way, that's not just my advice. This is the advice from my mentor, psychotherapist and tapping expert Dr. David Lake, who's one of the most qualified people that I know. So keep hard. There are solutions for everyone. Just the route is different for some people. Okay, there are more roads that lead to Rome, and you can use tapping on whichever road you take. Man, it was a difficult question at the end. All right. Okay. Can we end it here? I'll end it here. Okay. Yes, Leah?
Yep. I told everyone that you'll get back to their answers on the chat after the session.
What?
So we can
No,
wrap
I'm
it up.
not. At some point, we might do this again. Okay, so I'll just close this. Antoine, Adi, Victoria, again, thank you so much. You guys are troopers. First one ever to do this live on YouTube is really, really, really cool. Really appreciate it. This is gonna start something new, I'm pretty sure. So I might do this again. If you feel like volunteering, should we do that, Leo? Give them your email address. Yeah. Okay, you can send an email. Yeah, to social anxiety solutions va@gmail.com. And you'll come, you'll have a waiting list, and you can do that. And yeah, if you're new to this, our volunteers all came from the 30-day challenge, 30-day social confidence challenge, the free challenge. I'll run it for free again, but it's not going to happen for a while, unfortunately, because I'm way over my head and I'm really, really tired. So the earliest that we're going to do it is in 3 months from now, but most likely, most likely, we're just going to hold it in about 6 months from now. Until that time, if you want more of this, I suggest best thing to do is to get my free social confidence starter kit, where I teach you the tapping. It's like a mini tapping course. It contains my story, how I overcame my social anxiety completely, and it contains an ebook called How to Overcome Social Anxiety Completely. And you get all of that by going to socialanxietysolutions.com and clicking on the button Overcome SA for free. And you'll then also be put on my automated email sequence, where I share with you stories from former clients. I give you tips, I give you insights, I give you tap-alongs just like this. It's an amazing wealth of information. It's really, really going to help you reduce your social anxiety already, and you'll have opportunities to really take your social ease to the next level. So that is by go to socialanxietysolutions.com, there somewhere. Yeah, and thank you. And if this is helpful for you and you feel like sharing it, please do share it anywhere. And thank you for being here. And I'm going to go to bed. So thank you very much, and bye. And we have videos like we have a weekly YouTube channel. Every Thursday I release a video. Every Tuesday we do Testimonial Tuesday, where I read testimonials from former clients or people like that. And I have a podcast where I've interviewed many coaches, psychotherapists, healers, psychologists who share their best social anxiety solutions. So you can find that by going to iTunes and typing in social anxiety solutions, or whatever your social anxiety, whatever your podcast player is, just type in social anxiety solutions and you'll find it. Okay, so this is enough. Thank you very much. I'll connect with you soon. Bye for now. That's a wrap.